Hello, hello. It is I, Godo, and I'm right here. Okay. Today I'm doing another devlog because the conditions that I had last time are still the same. I'm still not at my home, so I can't stream, and so I will just show you guys what I've done since last time. Okay, so here I have a quick done, which is very short compared to last time. I don't have that much to show you guys. So we're gonna do that. It's gonna be a quick and dirty video just to show you guys what happened. Oh, you don't need the git k. I'm using that, by the way, just to remind myself of the different commits that I've made, so I can see since last video what I've done, right? To update you guys on this. So first thing, I was working. The main thing that I did, which took a really long time, or at least a much longer time than I thought it would, was making the puzzle for the soul, right? So I wanted, like, when you open the tomb here, I wanted this some kind of like particle effect thing to that looks like a that you know could look like a soul to just come out of it, and then you have to guide it using Egyptian mythology, or at least the clues that are given to you in the game. They would be enough to understand the puzzle. And then you have to basically like click on the different gods to help the soul get to wherever it needs to be. So I'm just gonna show you guys. It's gonna be much more practical because I'm done with that. So it works now. So if I go here, oh, by the way, like I just put the fence gate here in open position at all times because I still haven't made the puzzle for that. And neither have I made the puzzle for this here, right? So right now I can just click on it right off the bat, but I want to make some kind of puzzle here that, requires unlocking this. I don't want people to just walk here and then click here and boom, you're done. That's 1/3 of the game. I don't really like that. So, okay, so here, if I click here, you have the little animation of it opening, and then wing, you have the soul coming out of here, right? So this is a soul, okay, and you have to guide it. So here you're reading, an inscription says Osiris, the judge of life, or Osiris. An inscription says Maat, goddess of equality. Here, an inscription says Anubis, god of the underworld. Well, okay, I need to add more text. The hints are pretty bad. And an inscription says Meat, goddess that devours unworthy souls. So here, what you have to do is the judge of the afterlife. The text is going to say a lot more eventually, because right now it's incomplete. But basically, that god, what it does is it will weigh on a scale the soul of the person compared to a feather. And if the soul is heavier, it means that you lived a bad life and you're full of sins or something like that. So here I click, it's being judged. Ooh, see, it's red, it's a bad soul. And then I will also add feedback to tell the player that the soul is good or bad. So the color is not going to be the only indicator you have. And here, boom. Yay. We've succeeded. Okay, and in the final game, there's going to be a sound happening. And this is still not activated despite us activating 2 puzzles. We only need to solve here. We saw that last time, so I'm just going to do it real quick because I have something else to show you guys. So here we just activated this. I'm going to again just enter the results because I showed you guys last time. So you already know this. This is not very interesting for you. So here I also made a new trigger, which is a collision trigger. Usually when I got into the elevator, I would have to click on the elevator platform. Like right here, I'm clicking, click, 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 click. And yet nothing's happening. Instead, I have to get inside and then boom, the elevator's working. So I added, one of the things I added, as I mentioned here, is I added I call it a collision trigger. So uncomponent overlap. So basically that's what happens. I can show in the editor what it looks like. It's going to be a little more explicit. Whoop. Ah, come on. Stay straight. Okay. If I click on the elevator here, you can see that I added a box collision component as well as a collision trigger. So the collision trigger, it doesn't take anything into like arguments to see what to check against. I mean, this is just what it activates. So it activates the elevator. So the activatable move will activate. But then the box, basically collision trigger, it only works with box triggers because I couldn't make it work. If I go here in the CPP, I had to go to like get on the owner. So basically this is a component. So the owner is the actor that has the component. So here we find, elevator. So on elevator, I tried to find a component. I wanted to use the parent component of ubox component, but here when I tried to use it to do like uncomponent begin overlap, for example, it told me, hey, you can't use a pointer to an incomplete type. So I really had to specify one specific type of collision. So, I just chose box collision. It's good enough. There's probably very few situations where it would be too imprecise and wouldn't work. Like even here, I'm using a round area, but I just made a box that was far enough that the player couldn't get out after activating it. This way, once you activate it, you necessarily go up into the final room. So yeah, that's what I decided to do. And okay, so to make the soul puzzle work, I had to do a full revamp of the, well, I changed a little bit like the widget for thoughts, as well as the click trigger, and pretty much a quick revamp of how the player looks at actors and clicks on actors, right? So the way that I did it initially, I thought was pretty bad because I was just keeping in, well, so I'm still doing that, okay? So I was in the variables of the puzzle Manor character here. Okay, I have a viewed actor pointer. Well, an actor pointer which is called viewed actor. I had that before, I still have that. This is fine. The bad part was that when I was clicking in the puzzle Manor character, okay, when I was interacting, what I used to do is take that actor, check if it is check if it has a click trigger component specifically on it. So basically, I take the actor, I get the list of all components that it contains that are of a certain class, in this case, click trigger. And if there was specifically a click trigger, then I would, trigger it, which is pretty bad. Triggers are supposed to know how to trigger themselves and check themselves for those conditions. So I kind of revamped that system by making a delegate, which is a actor event signature. And I made 3 actor events. So there's uninteract, which is when you click. There's unview start and unview end. And view start and view end, they have to do with when you're hovering an actor. So basically uninteract, it takes the viewed actor and it clicks on it, right? That one. While here, well, it clicks on it. It broadcasts the interact event using the viewed actor. So, while when you're updating the view, I'm checking if I'm starting to look at a new actor. If I do, I call unview start. And unview end is when I stop looking at an actor. So sometimes when I just change actor, it's going to call view in that specific order. It's going to call view end first and then view start on the new actor. But sometimes what can happen is if you're looking at a wall, but let's say you go back, at some point you're going to be out of range because the player, it looks up to a certain distance in front of the player, basically. So you can actually just get back enough from an actor to simply stop looking at it, but also not look at any actor at all, right? So it's not always, oh, you're looking at the environment and then looking at a painting, for example. Sometimes you're just looking at a painting, going back and looking at nothing else. Right now in the game, the view start and view end are only used by the lookable, right? So, well, I say by the lookable, by the W thoughts, right? So what I do here is now on view end and on view start, on view end first. This is why I'm sure it triggers first. I add them, I add a unique dynamic on them. So basically it's just, I'm subscribing to their delegates, right? So these are the delegates that I myself declared, and I broadcast on them. So here unview updated in both cases. So here I'm just checking for conditions, as I used to, but before it was, that logic was actually in the tick function. So at all times, the little widget at the bottom of the screens that displays the lookables, it would just check at all times. Hey, what is the player currently looking at? Is it a lookable? Yeah, okay, I'm going to display it. That's what it was doing at all times. While right now, only when changes happen, and those changes are notified by the player, only when that happens do I update the view, which is much better. It took me a long time, by the way, to end up getting at that point. Also, on interact, now the logic is like way simpler. I literally just broadcast this. But, of course, click trigger is more complex because of that. So I have to add myself as the click trigger has to add itself as a dynamic to the uninteracted. And then all of the click triggers are getting notified whenever there's an interaction happening. Even if it's not on an actor that is a click trigger. But here it's very simple. I just check the actor. Is it my owner? So is it like the actor on which the click trigger component is? Yes? Okay, then trigger, right? It's actually quite simple, the logic for the click trigger. So it's not that complex, but it really helps, especially because because it's an event that the player broadcasts, it doesn't need to be a click trigger, right? Like this, where is it? The soul here. The soul also subscribes. So it's when it gets activated, right? So when you start the activation, I actually subscribe to the uninteract delegate for uninteract. And then I just handle wherever I'm trying to move, depending on what has been clicked. So I didn't have to add a click trigger to any of these. It's basically, the soul is just it's a state machine essentially, right? So you have like a switch for the state and you act differently depending on the state. So basically it's a state machine, and the soul itself just checks all the logic that it needs using a bunch of variables. If I go in BP soul here, wait, so it's in not room A, it's in room B. So on BP soul, you can see there's like a bunch of things, okay? It knows where to move, for the waiting position that I call it, where to move when you click on Osiris. It knows, what mesh represents Osiris, what mesh has to be clicked and checked and whatnot. It just checks a bunch of things. So it's all in one script that really handles all of the interactions for that puzzle. I feel like it would be way too complex if I started having a very modular approach for that one. So it works really well right now. And I'm going to add like sound snippets to say like, ooh, the soul was good, the soul was bad, and stuff like that. But for now, the puzzle is very functional, it's very good. I still need to add the hints, on a bunch of these. But that's pretty much it. And that's how these things work for now. And I will be making another devlog when I reach another milestone. Probably one of the next things I want to do is the quick puzzle for this. I say quick, but it's probably going to be quite complex to make. The puzzle is simple, but making it might be complex. And here, It's always up right now, but I want to make it go down and make a quick puzzle for that as well. So these two puzzles, once they're completed, I will consider their paths to be, as far as interactions go, to be complete. So because this path here is already complex enough and has multiple puzzles and whatnot, once these have their main door puzzle, yeah, I mean all of the puzzles are going to be in the game at that point, and it's all going to be about refining stuff, adding sounds, making sure that all of the hints are there and are clear enough, right, just to not look too ridiculous. And yeah, that will be great. And I have, again, a bunch of to-dos here that I could do. Like I could make these things, and blah, blah, blah. All of that is fine. Anyways, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see where I take the game next. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this recap. I try to show the technical details a little bit. If you're interested in, trying to implement part of that for yourself, again, link in the description is going to be on the GitHub. So you can see the code by yourself. And yeah, I mean, I'm getting pretty tired. This video is actually longer than I thought it was going to be. So bye-bye. See you. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in part 17 for, the next part of the game. Bye-bye.